The bathroom door was ajar, and muffled voices came from inside. "Honey, you're a miracle," a woman whispered. A man responded in an affectionate tone, followed by sighs and kisses. Daphne's heart stopped. Before continuing, let's take a few steps back in time. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel by activating the bell so you don't miss our next wonderful stories. Daphne had finally received the news she had been waiting for. She could go home from the hospital. The doctor had told her that she would be discharged only the next day, but now everything had changed. Happy and surprised, she decided not to warn her husband Aeneas, preferring to surprise him with her early return. During the bus ride, Daphne thought about Aeneas' happiness at seeing her. She could already imagine dinner ready and the two of them cuddling on the sofa. They had been married for 6 months after meeting at the wedding of mutual friends. She still remembered that eventful day. An argument between the spouses had threatened to ruin everything, but she and Aeneas had managed to restore calm, and from that chaos, their love was born. Arriving home, Daphne opened the door and immediately heard voices coming from the bathroom. "Honey, you are a miracle," a woman said in a breathless and ecstatic tone. Then a male voice answered, followed by sighs and kisses. Daphne felt faint, her mind filled with doubts and suspicions. Could Aeneas be betraying her? The thought devastated her. She approached the bathroom door silently, holding her breath. She listened to those sweet and intimate words that hurt her heart. "I adore you, my little cake," the woman whispered. Aeneas responded in a tone that Daphne had always recognized as affectionate. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Shocked, Daphne ran out of the apartment without looking back. Tears streamed down her face as she ran down the stairs. Once outside, the March cold hit her, but she didn't notice. She walked down the street, lost in her thoughts and grief. She felt as if the world had collapsed on her, every step weighing like a boulder. A man, seeing her in that state, approached and threw a warm jacket over her shoulders. "When was the last time you were sick?" he asked her with concern. Daphne looked up, surprised. "I was released from the hospital today," she replied, her voice shaking. The man, whose name was Nereo, offered to let her follow him to his house to recover. Once there, Nereo prepared her a cup of hot coffee, and Daphne began to tell him everything. Nereo listened attentively, trying to understand the situation. His face was a mask of understanding and kindness. "I have to go to work," he said finally, "but you stay here. There's food in the fridge and coffee on the table. Don't do anything rash. I'll be back in 4 hours and we'll decide what to do." Nereus had a look that conveyed security and trust, and Daphne felt she could trust him. Daphne nodded, feeling a little safer. She drank her coffee, trying to chase away the sad thoughts. The warmth of the cup in her hands was a comfort, but the tormenting thoughts continued to crowd her mind. Suddenly, the phone rang. It was Aeneas. Daphne froze, her heart in her throat. She didn't have the courage to answer. She threw the phone on the couch and let it ring. "Why aren't you answering?" a woman's voice asked behind her. Daphne whirled around and saw a beautiful girl standing in the doorway. "Who are you?" she asked, confused. "I'm Penelope," the girl answered calmly. "I'm waiting for Nereus. And who are you?" Penelope looked calm and understanding, and her smile was reassuring. "Daphne," she replied, "I just discovered something terrible." Penelope offered her a sympathetic smile. "Tell me everything," she said, and Daphne let herself go. explaining the situation with Aeneas. Penelope listened intently, nodding every now and then. It was clear she wanted to help. "All right," he said finally. "Let's go see what's going on." Penelope grabbed her coat and went out with Daphne. They headed toward Daphne's apartment. Every step toward home increased Daphne's anxiety, but Penelope's presence at her side gave her a modicum of comfort. When they arrived, Penelope knocked on the door. A girl in a short dressing gown opened and looked at them in surprise. "Where is Aeneas?" Penelope asked, coming in without waiting for an invitation. The girl looked embarrassed. "He's in the kitchen," she answered hesitantly. Penelope headed for the kitchen, followed by Daphne. They found Aeneas rearranging some furniture. "What are you doing?" Daphne asked, trying to hold back her tears. Every word was a punch to the heart, and the fear of a negative answer paralyzed her. Aeneas turned, surprised to see her. "I'm preparing a surprise," he said. "I found a new apartment for us. I wanted to set it up before you got back from the hospital." Daphne was speechless. The girl in the dressing gown came over and explained that she and her boyfriend had temporarily rented Daphne and Aeneas' apartment while they moved. Daphne's tears of anguish turned to tears of relief, and a huge weight was lifted from her heart. Penelope and Daphne looked at each other, finally understanding the misunderstanding. If you liked the video, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Aeneas approached Daphne, taking her hands. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you anything," he said in a soft voice. "I just wanted to surprise you." Daphne felt her heart melt. "I misunderstood you," she admitted. "I thought, it doesn't matter." Penelope smiled, happy that everything had worked out. "All's well that ends well," she said with a smile. Daphne, Aeneas, Penelope, and Nereus gathered in the apartment. They ate together, laughing and telling stories. Teresa, the girl in the dressing gown, turned out to be an excellent cook, and soon everyone felt at home. Reflecting on what had happened, Daphne realized how easy it was to misunderstand situations. In the warm and cozy kitchen, Teresa began to prepare a delicious meal. The smells of food filled the air, helping to dissipate the residual tension. Daphne felt lighter, as if a huge weight had been lifted from her shoulders. "Thank you for listening to me," she said to Nereus and Penelope, who smiled sympathetically. Teresa served plates of food and everyone joined in. The food was amazing, and soon laughter filled the room. The story of the misunderstanding became an anecdote to be told with a smile. Aeneas took Daphne's hand under the table, squeezing it affectionately. She returned his squeeze lightly, feeling a renewed complicity between them. After the meal, they all sat in the living room, continuing to chat and share life stories. "I can't believe how much things have changed in just a few hours," Daphne said, looking at Aeneas's smiling face. "I've felt so lost, but now everything seems possible again." Penelope nodded, sipping her coffee. "Sometimes a small gesture is enough to change everything. The important thing is to never lose hope." Nerio added, "And always remember to communicate. Most problems arise from misunderstandings and lack of dialogue." The evening continued with an atmosphere of serenity and complicity. Daphne felt that the bond with Aeneas had been strengthened through the experience lived. "I never thought a day that started so badly could end so well," she said, looking at her husband with loving eyes. Penelope and Nereus stood up to leave, but before they left, Penelope turned and said, "Remember, Every misunderstanding can be resolved if there is love and communication, and you two have plenty of that. Daphne and Aeneas nodded, thanking them for all their support. Left alone, they sat on the couch, holding each other. "I'm so glad you're back," Aeneas said, kissing her forehead. "Me too," Daphne replied, "and I'm happy to have you by my side." How important is it to communicate openly with the people we love to avoid misunderstandings that could destroy our relationships?